Hello, I'm Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester from the great state of Delaware. April is Second Chance Month, and I am so grateful for advocates, partners, and leaders like all of you and the work that you are doing to pass clean slate policies. Today's Pass the Mic Community Call is an incredible opportunity for you to come together and share stories of success, lessons learned, and paths to victory. This is an issue that many of you know is near and dear to my heart. As Delaware's former Secretary of Labor and a champion of clean slate legislation, I understand how essential clean slate is in dismantling barriers that prevent millions of people from across our country having access to new opportunities once they reintegrate into society. This is not a red state or a blue state issue. In 2024, I joined the Clean Slate Initiative in a bipartisan roundtable at the Capitol. I had the opportunity to ask some of the participants why a clean slate was important to them. One person said justice. Another person said change is possible. And another said redemption and restoration. And finally, second chances matter. That's what this is really about. Dignity, fairness, justice, and second chances. Thank you to all of you for the work that you are doing to make Clean Slate a reality, and I hope that you have a productive call.
Good afternoon, good evening for some, good morning for our folks out in Alaska or Hawaii. Welcome to the Clean Slate Initiative's Community Call. I'm Reginald Darby. I am the Federal Legislative Director for the Clean Slate Initiative, and I'm excited to be with everyone today. As you know, we are here to celebrate the end of Second Chance Month, which has been pivotal all across this nation with different organizations doing the work that is needed. And right now is our time to celebrate and be excited about all of the great things that we've done and share it out with our community. One thing that you will learn here at Clean Slate, we like to convene. We like to come together as a community and find ways to share all of the good news that we're doing, the best practices in the work that we're doing, but also just to celebrate one another. So I already see a few of you all are in the chat, connecting with each other, sharing where you're from, sharing some of your favorite emojis. I would do that as well, but I don't necessarily have access to my chat right now as I'm talking with you. But if I was to do that, I would share. I'm calling from Washington, D.C., here in the nation's capital. And one of my favorite emojis is the one where the face is kind of melting and all over the place, because a lot of times I feel like I'm all over the place. But again, welcome to our community call, and I'm super excited about having you here. So that you know, this work has been happening every single day, all 365, sometimes 366 days of the year. But this month in particular, we want to take a pause to see each other and to see everything that we have done together, because this is Second Chance Month. So with that, we're going to get started with a couple of slides just to give you guys a glimpse into not only what we've been doing, but who we are as an organization. So the Clean Slate Initiative, we are a national nonprofit organization that focuses on passing and implementing automated record-sealing legislation at the state and federal levels. We have been successful in doing this in 13 different states, but the thing is, we pass the legislation, but a lot of folks don't necessarily know what the problem is, because that legislation is the solution. So what is the problem? A lot of times people don't realize this, but 1 in 3 individuals has some form of a criminal record. That's anywhere between 70 to 100 million individuals. And if you have that record, that means you don't have access to jobs, because 94% of employers do background checks. That means you don't have access to housing a lot of times, because over 90% of landlords do background checks. And then more than likely, you're not able to gain access to college or universities, because 72% of them do background checks. But a lot of people may ask, okay, we passed legislation, but what's in that legislation? What makes a clean slate law? So it's actually very simple, ultimately. What we do is we work both at state campaigns, but also as a federal campaign to pass legislation that will allow for certain records to be sealed and not accessible to the public. And we have been very successful in doing that in 13 different states, most recently in the state of Illinois and in the District of Columbia. So this month, our Second Chance campaign theme is America's got untapped talent. You may have heard that slogan a lot lately because we have been talking about it and been leaning into the fact that record sealing is all about the workforce and its impact to our economy. And we have partnered with one of our great partners, Responsible Business Initiative for Justice, also known as RBIJ, to recognize some of these employers who are committed to expanding the opportunity to second chances. So every year, millions of skilled and qualified people are ready to work. But unfortunately, due to outdated records, these block them from gaining access to those jobs and even to the other areas that I've mentioned earlier. So, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a moment and introduce you all to someone who is pivotal into all the work that we're doing. She's also our CEO. Please help me in welcoming Sheena Mead.
Thank you so much, Reginald. I appreciate you. Happy Second Chance Month, everybody. I know we're at the end of the month. I have been traveling all across, I feel like, the country around Clean Slate. But today I'm actually reporting from the airport in Miami because I took a moment just to take some time for myself for 2 days. But it's so reflective of why we're together. I recently got to be with my family, enjoy Carnival. And here, where I went to Carnival, there was a celebration of people, different folks waving their flags, come together. And it was such a beautiful thing. It was so vibrant seeing so many different people, countries, cultures, and people come together. And it does remind me of the work that we're doing here at Clean Slate. We have so many people across political ideology, different communities, different states, but our core thing remains the same, that we believe that people deserve a second chance, which is so beautiful. And so that's why this community call was so um, and so it's so needed for today, because you're not in this work alone. We're doing this work all across the country in different states. I think we're gonna have some slides of Bobby, right? Sorry. I want to just share a little bit about my travels. I recently just came from Connecticut, where I was at a press conference and celebrating the erasure of 150,000 people getting a record cleared. 150,000 people who now have a second chance. It was a beautiful moment. Oh, thank you. There go the slide, y'all. I feel like I'm Waldo. I don't even know where I've been. I've been everywhere. So this is a great map showing some of the places that I've been. But I just came back from Connecticut celebrating with the governor, celebrating with advocates who have been tirelessly doing this work for years before we even called it the Clean Slate Initiative. Um, and one thing that really sat with me when I was at that press conference, I met a beautiful woman, Miss Smith, who talked about years of doors being closed in her face, whether it was for housing, apartments, opportunities. But finally, her record got cleared, and she was celebrating. She had a beautiful smile on her face, and now she was able to walk into a job knowing that she was being defined by her qualifications and no longer her record. But it was something that sat with me that she said. She said, what along the journey, she was hoping that the governor would have pardoned her, her record. And so one of the advocates told her, just wait, just wait. Clean slate is on the way, hope is on the way. She said, but nobody understands the weight of having to wait. And that is so real. We have over 30 million people who are eligible today to get the record clear, but they have to wait. I just want to make sure, team, y'all can still hear me, because I know.
We
Yep,
Okay.
can
we
hear
can
you,
hear you,
Sheena.
Sheena.
We got
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thank you. And so I want to just say that when she said that, it reminded me of things that I've been hearing across the country. As much as we are so proud of the work that we're doing, states passing Clean Slate, implement Clean Slate, that takes time. And there are people who are eligible today. So today I would love to announce that we're like riding with that theme, the weight of waiting. This year, we're not actually having our annual convening because I said I want to do something different. How can I repurpose those resources and take it to the field to get relief immediately to the people? Now, this is different for us, y'all. We really focus on automating record clearance, but now we want to go ahead and help expand and get people through that petition process as quickly as possible, working with agencies, working with our partners on the ground, working with people across the country. And so we're actually going to go in the southern region. That's where we're going to focus at, because this is also a new part of our strategic plan. Y'all hear a little bit more about it, but we know that there's impact that's been waiting for years, and that the South is usually under resourced and untapped. And so we have some untapped talent down there. And so we're calling it our second chance circuit. And so this is the announcement of it. We're going to different places across the country, particularly more so in the South, where we're going to be doing expungement clinics. And we want to partner with you. If you're somebody who already does this work, you're like, look, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I got this. But a little bit of resources to take it a long way, a little bit of comms to take it a long way. We're going to be actually having grants open on April 30th that you can apply for. They're like micro grants just to help you support. And we're here to walk with you through this. And so we know the weight of having to wait, and so we want to go ahead and make sure that we can start getting people clean slate. Um, the other thing, let me see what else. Anything else I'm missing, team? I'm trying to figure out. Oh, also, I was in Washington D.C. I know New York. I was in D.C. I was in New York at a Federal Impact Summit. I want to give a shout out to Tanya Pierce, one of our members and partners, and I just wanted to shout her out because a lot of people who have federal records sometimes I feel like get overlooked because there's so much work going on in the states. But there are so many people, and I was just so taken back and left with a weight of being able to like really dive into some of our federal work. You know, Clean Slate Act is our bill. I think Reginald's gonna talk about it a little bit later. But there are people who have federal convictions who are looking also for a clean slate, and you can hear more how to get involved in that. I just really want to just thank everybody who got on this call. Did not find it robbery to get on this call tonight to be in community. You're gonna hear great updates. Please give us feedback. We want to be able to be in community with everybody. And with that, I think I'm passing it back over to Reginald.
Hey,
Did I click? Did
Sheena.
I do? Hey, did I do everything?
You did everything. I'm a little jealous that you're at the airport right now. I didn't get my invite.
Listen, I don't know if you want to listen. For my folks who know me and who knows Juve, I went to Juve, and it doesn't start till 4 a.m. And I got on a 11 o'clock flight, so it lets you know where my mind is at right now. But it was important for me to be on this call to be with our community, be with our folks at the end of Second Chance Month, and people working tirelessly. I just want folks to know that we see you, we hear you, we are with y'all, and we're trying to just do this work together collectively and making sure that we have impact. But we will get through this together, and I'm looking forward to what 2026 is going to land us.
Absolutely. And most importantly, like Sheena said, we are with you all and we're glad that you're here tonight. So thank you, Sheena, again for giving us that update and also for sharing what you've been doing because we know you've been very busy. So hopefully you're safe and you get back home to us. See you soon.
Thanks, Reginald. I'm gonna
All
stay a little
righty.
while.
Well, say it again. You'll stay a little while.
I'm gonna stay a little while.
All right, well, bless us with your presence. Allow me to introduce Eric Altieri. He's our Director of Campaigns here at CSI. He's going to talk a little bit about our campaign momentum, some of the wins we've had this year, and of course, I'm going to, pick a little fun at him because that's my guy. Eric, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Reginald, and great to see you join us, Sheena. And really, just want to thank all of you for being here today and being there every day in this fight. It's really been an honor to work beside all of you in the states to bring second chances to every individual in this country because we all know that a record is not meant to be a perpetual punishment. It's not meant to create this permanent underclass of citizens in this country, and we need to bring those second chances that we've seen in these 13 states that, plus DC that have approved clean slate to every corner of the United States of America. So we're proud to be working with you every day. We believe the power is truly with the people in the states. So it's been fantastic over the past 3 years since I've been here to get to know many of you, to keep meeting new folks, and to see these campaigns grow and thrive. And with that in mind, I'm going to give a quick update on our campaigns, where we stand now in 2026. But as I was putting this together, I just, to paraphrase a quote that kept coming to mind is that we don't ever really lose, we win or we learn. And we're really seeing that come to fruition in our campaign states, and our partnership with all of you, in that we're building, we're getting better every year, we're getting further every year, and we're seeing those lessons really be applied across the states, and paying off in places like Illinois, where we just passed clean slate, and in the states we're talking about that are getting closer and closer to becoming that 14th state to pass. So if we're looking at the states now in 2026 that are still in session with active campaigns, first up we have Massachusetts. In Massachusetts, there is a wonderful broad coalition of state groups working together, from labor to public health groups to criminal justice advocates, that have been really tilling the soil in Massachusetts for several years now, trying to get Clean Slate passed. And it's been one of our longer running campaign states, but we are seeing that really come to fruition this year, with some momentum behind the bills that we've introduced. We have a couple of chances to pass Clean Slate there. There's some standalone bills, there's some omnibus bills with multiple issues in them that may carry Clean Slate to the finish line. But we're really focusing hard in Massachusetts, and they have a longer session this year. They run until July 31st. So keep an eye on them for news in the coming months as the summer starts to heat up in Massachusetts. Missouri, last year we saw Missouri's Clean Slate bill make it to the floor of the House, and then it kind of just ended there as time ran out in the session. But our partners, our sponsors, everyone really doubled down, took those lessons we learned, and applied them this year. And it's been incredible to watch the progress we've seen. Our House bill passed not only the full House, it passed its committee in the Senate, and it is currently awaiting action on the floor of the Senate. Their session runs another couple weeks, and we're feeling pretty hopeful that in this final push, we can get Missouri through this year. Expect to see a lot more news in the coming weeks as that session begins to wind down. But we really have a number of opportunities and pathways to pass that. The foremost being our House bill that is really just awaiting that final floor vote in the Senate. The other state still in session is Rhode Island. This is one of our newer states. It's been great to work with Open Door Rhode Island and DARE there to launch our campaign earlier this year in a really formal way. And they're off to a speedy start. They've had multiple bills introduced already this session. There's been committee hearings on those bills in both the House and Senate side in their committees there. And we've seen this discussion really, really blossom in Rhode Island around record sealing and record clearance. So we have legislation introduced that goes all the way to Clean Slate, but also incremental legislation to bring some relief as soon as possible, and more eligible convictions, and easing the process to get a petition for your record to be sealed in Rhode Island as we work towards ultimately passing full automated record sealing. And they're in session there until June 30th. So we still expect to see a lot more news coming out of Rhode Island. And we can go to the next slide. So as we are getting to the summer months, a lot of states are winding down, as many of you know, their legislative sessions for the year. And that includes 3 states where we had active campaigns. First, there was Kentucky. Kentucky has been working very hard at this for several years. The first year was introduced. We had the then Chief Supreme Court Justice of the state Supreme Court essentially kill the bill live during a hearing. From that, instead of feeling really kind of defeated, everyone in Kentucky rallied. They set up a legislative working group last year, bringing in stakeholders to draft and outline the pathway to Clean Slate. This year, that bill was introduced, built up with a great base of support, and it's made it further than any bill in Kentucky ever has before. It made it all the way up to the Senate floor vote. Unfortunately, with the timing of the session and other challenges, this session has run out in Kentucky, but we expect to see a lot more come from those efforts. Those seeds are really planted to build on in future sessions. And one that certainly, in some ways, it hurts to have seen how it developed this year, but it's important to step back and see the progress, and that would be Maine. Maine, in just 1 year of having a Clean Slate campaign, went from this being a concept to this being a fully drafted bill to going all the way through both the House and the Senate and making its way to the governor's desk for signature. Unfortunately, last Friday, we learned that the governor of Maine, Janet Mills, was the first governor in all of our campaigns to actually veto Clean Slate bill. The positive news is through that process, we made a lot stronger allies in the government with lawmakers across the state, and everyone is really committed to seeing this pass in 2027. And with a new governor in place, we fully expect that we have the wind at our backs for the next session, and just incredible progress in the course of 1 year there. Maryland is the other state that recently adjourned. They have been showing progress year after year. And this comes back to that quote, we win or we learn. Maryland has been learning and has been evolving and has been really doing this in a smart way. That is a multi-step process. In the first year of a campaign there, We worked with our partners and bill sponsors to pass the Expungement Reform Act, which solved a lot of issues related to their current expungement process in the state. This year, we introduced our full Clean Slate bill. It was approved by the full Senate, and it made its way over to the House. So it got halfway through the process, and we're expecting to really see a big push to get that all the way through next year. But it's a place where we've seen year after year how you take these wins and you build on them to get to that ultimate goal of full clean slate. And that brings us to some of our newer campaign states that have been launching earlier this year. One is Hawaii. Hawaii will be launching its formal campaign very soon. We have a large number of groups coming together on the islands to really champion full clean slate. But it's not a place, even though it hasn't had a campaign, we've not been very active and involved. Clean Slate, as many of you may know from if you're following our email alerts, and if not, make sure you're signed up for them. Clean Slate has a task force. The legislature set up a task force to study automated record sealing in Hawaii. And we are working with our friends at Code for America to help advise that task force, which is made up of numerous stakeholders from government to agencies to local advocates that are going to come out at the end of this year with recommendations for what that policy could look like. And our formal campaign will be supporting that all the way through and then working to take those recommendations and get those into law. We also launched a campaign in New Mexico. It's one of our newest states amongst these other ones here. And we're already active on the ground building up support for 2027. They have very short legislative sessions in New Mexico. It's a citizen legislature, so they're typically 30 days or so. But that doesn't mean there's no work to be done. We've been on the ground there working with our partners and other stakeholders, meeting with lawmakers, meeting with the courts, really making sure we can start 2027 off on a strong foot to help fight for clean slate legislation. And finally, that brings us to Wisconsin. Thank you, Justin. Yes, 30 and 60-day sessions. They alternate every other year. And Wisconsin will be our newest campaign launch. We're expecting that to happen in the next couple months, so stay tuned. Wisconsin is one of the states with some of the most restrictive current record clearance laws on the books. It can only happen if it's when you're under 26. You can only really petition at the time of sentencing. Many issues. So they're desperately in need of reform that can bring second chances to their citizens. And we look forward to working with our partners in Wisconsin very soon to help make that a reality. And overall, stay tuned. This is not only the new campaigns. We're working to bring all 50 states on a pathway to automated record sealing. That starts with these states, but it doesn't end until we bring it across the country. And just as important as the campaigns is getting those bills put into law. And I think Reginald may tee us up to talk to my fellow colleague about that.
Absolutely. Eric, y'all have been booked and busy, so no one can say y'all aren't working. So good job and keep it up, man.
Thanks, Reginald.
All righty. Well, just like Eric stated, it's important for us to pass this legislation, but what does it mean if we're not actually executing and implementing the legislation that we are getting signed into law? So allow me to introduce my fellow colleague, Katie Sabota Kendall, our Director of Implementations here at CSI. Katie, what's going on?
Hello, I'm doing good. I'm happy to be at this call. How are you doing, Reginald?
I'm here.
Being an excellent MC as always. I love anything you MC.
Thank you.
All right, so I am very happy to be giving an overview, or actually just sort of a spotlight on a few of our implementation states. So as you all know, I hope 13 states and DC have all passed Clean Slate laws, and we are really proud at the Clean Slate Initiative to work in those locations to make sure that Clean Slate implementation really happens and Clean Slate becomes real. So we know that we pass these laws not just for the sake of passing the laws. We pass them to change lives. And in order to change lives, we really need to make sure that the laws are faithfully implemented. I'm also really proud of the progress that we've made in all of those states and the progress that our state partners have made. So I'm going to highlight 4 of those states to give you a little bit of flavor of things that have been going on in the past few months. So the first I'm going to highlight is Connecticut. Connecticut is a state where the power of the people has really shown that the people can make government move, put pressure on the government, make change so that the government follows through and delivers on their promises. And our partner there is Connect. I feel like I'm like a part-time cheerleader for Connect. I talk about them so much, but I just want to shout them out. And they really put the pressure on the government to deliver on the promise of Clean Slate, and it worked. So we saw Connecticut successfully implement Clean Slate. We have 150,000 people who have benefited so far, and they have another batch of records coming. So we're expecting all of the records that are currently eligible to be sealed by Clean Slate in the coming weeks. And then after that, just as records become eligible, they would continue to seal them. So that's an incredible accomplishment. But they're not done. In addition to that, they really want to be a leader when it comes to notification. So notification is, what we refer to at the Clean Slate Initiative as, how we're going to make sure that people who have benefited from Clean Slate know that they have benefited and understand what that means for their lives so they can really take advantage of that. And that is something that our friends at Connect and our friends in the Connecticut government are really taking on that problem. And this is, they're planning to build up and launch the first government-led Clean Slate portal, like an online website that a person can use to access information about Clean Slate and information about their own record status. So we're looking forward to that being built. We're really, really excited about that. And the folks in the Connecticut government are working with Connect, they're working with us, and they're working for Code for America to plan that and launch that. Our friends at Connect are also focusing on public awareness and education of the public, of course. So next slide, please. And another state I want to highlight is Illinois. Like Eric mentioned, Illinois very recently became our 13th Clean Slate state. That law the bill was signed into law just in January this year. And I want to shout out two amazing partners we have in Illinois, which are the Illinois Coalition to End Permanent Punishments and Live Free Illinois. And even though this law was just signed in January, our partners have not stopped for a minute. They jumped right into implementation. So they focused right away on making sure that we got the appropriations that we needed to make sure that implementation could start right away. And then we were able to get Clean Slate in the governor's budget, which is amazing. And they also focused on their legislation has a Clean Slate implementation task force. So they create a task force, government-led task force, to plan for implementation and to monitor implementation as it progresses. And so our partners have designed a dream team of folks that they really want to get on that task force, and they're moving to make that happen. They want themselves, obviously some of our partners themselves, to be on that task force as well and really be able to monitor and make sure that it's implemented faithfully. They're also focusing, like many of our partners, on public awareness and education. So we're really, really excited about Illinois and what's to come from in there. Next slide, please. Thank you. Oklahoma, I just want to focus on two states where we have some legislation or potential legislation. Sometimes in an implementation state, we find that the law needs to be tweaked a little bit, or there might be some more significant changes that we need with the law. And so we go back and we try to pass fixed legislation. And one of those states is Oklahoma. We are lucky in Oklahoma to have a very large coalition of people who are supporting the law. National organizations, local organizations like our partner Oklahomans for Criminal Justice Reform. And we are really working alongside government agencies to make sure that Clean Slate happens. But we identified the need for a few fixes, and so we drafted a bill. And we're very happy that that bill has moved through 3 committees and it passed unanimously through the Senate. We're hoping it will pass through the House before the session ends in the next couple of weeks. Next slide, please. All right, and last but not least, just going to focus on New Jersey a little bit. New Jersey is a state, as I like to put it, it just needs a little more love from us over here at the Clean Slate Initiative in order to get Clean Slate off the ground. So this is a real focus area for us in 2026. We have drafted a fixed bill as well for New Jersey that we're hoping to file very soon. That fixed bill clarifies the Clean Slate process. It adds in some deadlines for accountability purposes. It also shortens the wait period. And we're really excited because Under that, the fixed bill, we would have an estimated 1.4 million people in New Jersey who would benefit from Clean Slate. So we're really, really focused on making sure that becomes a reality there. We have wonderful advocates on the ground. I want to give a shout out to some of them: Salvation and Social Justice, Fair Share Housing, who we've been working with, who support Clean Slate. We're also meeting with people in New Jersey government, from the governor's office, from the courts, from other agencies, to get things moving on the implementation side. And we're really, really excited to have good news to report later this year and in 2027 in New Jersey. And with that, I think I will pass it back down to Reginald.
Well, thank you so much, Katie. Again, y'all are booked and busy, and I appreciate that.
We're doing it. We're making it happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Alrighty, so as you guys heard during Sheena's portion of the conversation, she shared that we do have some federal priorities in Congress. And one of the bills that we have a huge effort behind is the Clean Slate Act. And at the top of this call, you heard from our key sponsor in the Senate, Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester of Rhode Island. Now you get to hear from our House champion, Congresswoman Lucy McBeth of Georgia.
Hello, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Lucy McBeth, and I represent Metro Atlanta in the House of Representatives. I'm glad you're all here today. This Second Chance Month, we're reminded that too many Americans, mothers, fathers, veterans, young adults, are still being held back by old records long after they've served their time and turned their lives around. A past mistake should never mean a lifetime of closed doors. That's why I'm proud to be the lead sponsor of the Clean Slate Act, bipartisan legislation that creates real pathways to sealing federal records for nonviolent offenses so people can access jobs, housing, and the stability they've earned. Part of my work as the top Democrat on the Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime means standing on the side of justice and on the side of second chances. But none of this happens without you, the advocates, organizers, and individuals driving this work in your states and communities every single day. So welcome. I hope these events inspire you and strengthen your determination to make positive change. Now let's get to work.
Awesome. Well, I love it whenever I get to hear from our champions. And again, that was Congresswoman Lucy McBeth of Georgia. And again, at the top of the call was Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester. And similar to what the Congresswoman just stated, it's all about our advocates. So we are honored to be joined by Clean Slate advocates who know what it's like to navigate the weight of a record. I'd like to briefly introduce these three individuals with us here today. And before I let them tell you a bit more about themselves, I'm joined today by Mr. Richard Flanagan, who lives in Pennsylvania by way of Colorado and shared his deeply personal story with CSI last year at our convening. We also have Miss Lakeisha Green, who lives in Louisiana and is a criminal justice major graduating in the fall and also volunteers as the event manager leading expungement clinics with the Justice Reform Initiative. And last but not least, we have Miss Shantae Smith, who, as mentioned at the top of this hour, lives in Bristol, Connecticut, and whose words have stayed with our CEO, Sheena, since her time at the press conference. How's everyone doing?
Great.
All righty. So
I'm good. How are you?
Shantae, I'm here, girl.
Doing great.
All righty. Well, I want to start us off with us all getting to know each other just a little bit more. So, Richard, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit more about yourself and whatever you want this community to know about you as well. And Lakeisha and Shantae, please feel free to follow after.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be part of this conversation today. My name's Richard Flanagan. I am a formerly incarcerated person. I am in recovery from the disease of addiction. I have over 7 years clean and sober. I currently work and am a member of a major 12-step fellowship. I'm very active in that and of service to that fellowship. I'm also a contributing member of society. I'm a journeyman electrician in the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I also hold an electrical master's license in the state of Colorado and have an electrical contracting company there. I also have a wonderful relationship with my family and am newly married to my beautiful wife, Regina. And we also have a corgi named Reptar. And so I am a corgi dad. And lastly, I am a contributor and servant to the Clean Slate Initiative.
Everyone is booked and busy. I love this. And you're doing the good work. Shantae, do you mind giving us a little bit about yourself? I think you're on
Hi,
mute.
can you
There
hear
you
me?
go.
You guys can
I
hear
can
me?
loud and clear.
All right, good evening, everyone. How are you from all over the world? My name is Shantae Smith. I call myself a versatile public speaker. I love advocating for things and for people, for myself, for children. I work in the school system. I have been doing that for a very long time. I'm now in the role of like a teacher. Um, I also have my own program that I created for youth called Enlighten Me that deals with the different aspects of self, learning how to have like self-discipline and self-accountability, self-love, things of those sorts, learning those at an early age because in the world that we live in, it's a lot of adults don't even, sometimes it's hard for us to have our own self-discipline and, to be accountable for things. So I really thought that was important to start instilling in the youth at a young age. I like to call it a talk show, but a lot of people say podcast in these days, but have a talk show where I interview and shine light on people that are doing positive things with themselves. And I also have a show called Venus versus Mars where people come together and discuss different topics and things like this. What the Clean Slate is doing and just different other topics that are important that's going on in the world of everyday living and life. And what else should you guys know about me? I don't know. I'm a proud person. I done been through things in life. I am somebody that people call a social butterfly. I do like to make people smile. You never know what someone's going through. You never know what could be hard for someone. So just maybe being that person that might say something positive to them or just, make them laugh or, say anything. So I'm just me and I'm grateful for the Clean Slate Initiative. I'm grateful for all the work that you guys are doing. But yeah, that's about me a little bit.
I love it, Shantae. When you said that you pride yourself on your public speaking, I thought in my head, do you want to switch places with me? Because you could definitely take this over. You got it. You got the energy, you got the smile, and that red is working for you.
Thank
But
you.
no, thank you. Lakeisha, you there? Would love to hear a little bit more about yourself and what you want to share with the group.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
I hear you loud and
Yes.
clear.
Awesome. Sorry about that. I was having some technical issues. I'm Lakeisha. I'm from Little Lafayette, Louisiana. I'm a part of a small group. We're growing though, Justice Reform Initiative. And we're so delighted to be partnered with Clean Slate Initiative, just to be part of this big monster, to have automatic expungements done, especially in a conservative state like Louisiana. That's our hope that we're somewhere down the line because the manual process is really tedious here. But a little bit about me. I'm a single mom. I'm 42. I live in a very small town called Palucis. Hardly anything happens here. I have been impacted by the system. I was innocent, defending my property when the event occurred. Um, and I feel like I'm kind of a poster child of this whole process because now I'm a Southern, soon to be Southern graduate with criminal justice. I do graduate in the fall. So I think that I have a unique experience because I've been impacted and I utilize this experience to really empower me to make a change for my community and also be the change that we need in the system to hopefully break a lot of barriers in the future. A little
No,
bit about me.
I love that. I have a little love for you, HBCU love. I'm a Howard grad, but at the end of the day, I just want to make sure you
Hey.
know that, I used to want to be one of the dancing dolls over at Southern, but I didn't have the I didn't have the
Oh,
coordination or any of that. So I'm gonna leave that there. But no, thank you for sharing that. And I want to stay
we'll
with you
have you
for a
anytime.
second. We'll say it again.
I said we'll have you anytime.
Listen, I'll be honorary anytime you guys invite me. But I'm gonna keep you here for a second. I would like to know a little bit more about, can you touched on this for a second, how having a
Mhm.
record affected your ability to work or even find opportunities at work? Because as we know, it is a barrier when you do have a record to gain access to employment.
It is, and I've watched a lot of people that I know struggle. My brother, he's been impacted. He made a lot of bad choices as a young person, and I used to be the one to actually delegate looking for a job. I would only have him apply to companies that work with ex, ex cons or ex felony people. I don't know the correct term, but they kind of give you a sense of how green I was and still is a little bit about the system. I had never gotten in trouble. I was really straight laced, did everything by the book. And a situation happened at my home where a neighbor who had been harassing me for a good 4 years let his dog loose on purpose. And the dog got in the fence and was after my son. So I had to use my gun to discourage the dog from biting my child. And I got a charge. It was illegal possession of a firearm, or and my gun was registered. It was mine. But when I went to look for employment, I had never encountered this before. I've been in insurance about 15 years. So I've always applied with confidence, right? I'm really great at my job. So I always knew that would get me into whatever available position that was open, right?
Hmm.
So when I started getting something new, like rescinded offers, once they would put my background as a single mom, um, I was devastated. I have a mortgage of Americans. And to have this unique challenge where now I'm facing where how I'm supposed to take care of my son. How are we supposed to eat? Because if I can't get work, like how I'm going to survive. And this is really real for me, right?
Yeah.
Um, in my industry, insurance industry, that is passed through several boards. So I could not have a pending charge like this. I was literally getting denials. Um, and that's when I met our executive with Justice Reform Initiative. And he was telling me about how he was planning on starting his nonprofit organization. And I think it was God. And I connected with Mr. Kevin, and he literally took my record and had it expunged. But it was a real lengthy process. We had to go through some red tape with the court. It wasn't easy, like the automatic process that you guys are developing in all these different 13 states. That's phenomenal. But eventually it was, cleared up, and I was able to find employment, the relief, because now I'm in that shoe where I see some people real offend, right? When you're desperate and you're just trying to feed your family and pay the rent, pay the mortgage, and the system itself is blocking you out, I can see why some people resort back to reoffending. Because I mean, it's survival, and if we could take that away from people, I think it's life changing, right? If I
Absolutely.
wouldn't have met Mr. Kevin, because I could not afford, I was laid off. I couldn't afford to pay for an attorney.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done. So
That's
I'm
good.
I'm really indebted to this, to the organization and this cause.
I do believe that everything happens for a reason, and you're put in certain positions and places for things to come together. And I do believe that happened for you. I want to go to another question
Thank
because, Shantae, I know
you.
that you actually benefited from a clean slate, and I'm curious to know what's changed for you since your record was sealed.
Yes, I definitely benefited from Clean Slate. That's why I say you guys are awesome. Thank you. So since it has changed, I feel like I've always been confident going into my interviews, but I also always had that cloud over me that was like, your record chick, listen, it might mess it up. You got all these credentials, you have your degrees, you have this, your record, so that, beforehand, I would go into interviews and I would get some jobs and stuff, but it was a job that I really wanted. I went to school. My degrees are in like social work and human services. And I got like pre-offered a job for as a social worker for the state of Connecticut, where the state that I live in. And I was so excited when I seen the numbers I was gonna be making, the digits. I was like, oh yes. When I seen just being able to actually be in the field and just do, what I love doing, I was excited about that. And then I end up getting denied, and I already knew it was because of my record. It was nothing else. So, that hurt me big. But again, I did say I now in teaching, which I went back into the school system, and I was able to have an interview and get the position of being, a teacher. So that was a good thing that happened for me, as well as because I'm all about opportunities too. So I also, in the midst of being a teacher right now, I have a great interview with the state for another position, doing something, and I just feel like it's gonna happen for me, and I feel really great about it. And knowing that I don't have that on my back, knowing that I don't have to worry about that, and knowing that like Lakeisha said, that she had that experience, she was confident, she knew it was the same thing for me. So just knowing that there's no record on my back, that thing that happened in 2008 is no longer holding me back, and that I can move forward. So I do believe that good things are happening. With me not having the record, when I actually seen the paper when I was at the press conference, it was the first time, I was told by Clean Slate, I was told by the state police, like, your record is clear, but to actually see that sheet, they gave me a folder and I opened it, and to see that, to say you have no record, there's no. Oh man, listen, I was so excited. I had to take a screenshot. I had to take a picture and send it to my mom. Like, I was so happy. But I think that is such a positive thing, and it's something that's really needed. And I'm, like I said, I do talk a lot in as far as like public speaking, and I'm a word of mouth person. So I've been talking to people already about this. Like, I'm not a official Clean Slate member, but I'm telling people about it, and I'm just trying to spread the word as much as I can to let people know that this is life changing, and it can help you, and it can't, having a record can no longer stop you 100% from trying to move forward and be a better individual.
Absolutely. And you're more than an advocate. All three of y'all are family. So don't even look at it that way. And I want to close it out with you, Richard. Also, what has changed for you since your record was sealed? And what would you like to say to the people doing this work around the country?
Thank you so much. I am so grateful, like deeply grateful for all of the work that Clean Slate Initiative has done, and the people that work in the initiative, and being a member and a part of this movement has been an honor. The Clean Slate Initiative has given me the opportunity to seal a couple of my records, and now I can pass a 10-year background check. And in my industry, especially in the IBEW, it's so important to be able to pass those background checks, to be able to get on job sites, to be able to work. As a trained electrician and a yellow card member in the union, I should be able to work on those jobs without having to be discriminated because of my record. I have the same training and I have the same ability as any other journeyman, and I should be able to walk on that job just like everybody else without having to disclose my past to them. And I'm so thankful that I don't have to do that today. Also, the beautiful apartment that we just moved into in Philadelphia, when we moved here, I didn't have to disclose any of my background to them at all. I was able to pass the background check getting in here, which is such a weight off my shoulders, to be able to know that my family and I can live in a place that we deserve to live in, because we work hard and we're productive members of society and we are good people. and not to have to explain that to anybody as we move forward. It's such a great thing. The last thing I want to say is, like, given the opportunity to move past my record and the stigma that comes with it through being able to seal my records and building confidence and hope is so important to me as I venture into my new business as an electrical contractor. I'm working to build a union electrical business as a business owner in the state of Colorado. And this gives me the ability and confidence to do that. I wouldn't have had if I would have had a record or had not been able to pass those background checks. It's also given me a voice to be able to share my story and hopefully be effective in helping others that they can too move forward and see what is possible in this world, because we made choices that were challenging in the past doesn't have to affect the character of the individual that we become. Thank you.
No, thank you. And huge shout out to Richard, Shantae, and Lakeisha. Y'all are inspiration. And I would love to see some folks in the comments show them some love. Let them know that they are doing the good work and they are important to this work. They took the time out this evening to join us here and continue to advocate for second chances in their day-to-day lives. So I think we all should be giving them some form of congratulations and admiration and the things that they're doing, not only for themselves, but also for their community and others who are in similar situations. All right, so we're getting ready to close out shortly. But before I do that, there's this thing that we used to do back in my church called testimonies. And you would come up and you would give a quick little testimony about how God has been great to you. Well, I want to know a little bit about what you're working on and what encouraging words you want to share to everybody that's involved on this call. So I'm going to start off with someone I think is on the call. Is Tammy and Pastor Andal here? If so, feel free to come off of mute and turn your cameras on. We would love to hear from you all.
Yes, I'm here.
All righty. Well, I know you're a pastor, and I know y'all can be a little long-winded. So if you
No.
can, in about 2 minutes, just, give us some reflections. What's going on? How is the implementation in Connecticut, that huge milestone, been for you all there?
Yes, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Reginald. Thank you, everyone, for having us tonight. And as Reginald said, I serve as a senior pastor of Community Baptist Church in New Haven and as clergy caucus chair for Connect, that is congregations organized for New Connecticut. And I just want to say to this network that what you are doing, what we are doing is sacred work. Remember that second chances, clean slate, redemption, those are not political terms, but those are theological terms that people of all faiths have used for generations upon generations. And so while there may be some who don't believe in second chances, it doesn't mean that it's still not true or that it's not possible. And we've been at this work for 8 years and counting in Connecticut because we believe in this. And we know that when we believe, nothing is impossible. And as of today, we have 150,000 folks to prove it. When we believe, folks' records are cleared, and every record cleared, we know is a person stabilized, that every second chance is filled with a new set of infinite possibilities, that every barrier removed is not just one person made whole, but it's a family made whole, it's a state made whole in the aftermath of so many generations of broken prison politics. So just want to encourage everyone in this network to keep going because the work is worth it and the people are worth it. And our movement and power is bigger than any one state or any opposition that we encounter. So thank you.
Pastor, I may steal that. The work is worth it. I like that. Tammy, how about yourself?
Yeah, I kind of missed a little bit because I didn't have access to this panel. What was your question? I'm sorry.
No, no problem. I would just like to know a little bit more about how the implementation in Connecticut has been going and any inspirational words you want to share with the community today.
So we are a small state, like Pastor said, but we pack a big punch. What we have done here is that we are volunteers. We're made up of 4 volunteers. So we actually have a great relationship with our state, with our senators, our representatives, the governor, and the state police. So we have a great relationship with them, and we're always working with them, meeting with them. And we're at implementation. So we don't want to give a date, but we are very, very close. Probably prior to the fiscal year, folks will be able to know that, yeah, your record is erased. So we're in there and we're fighting. Right, Pastor?
Well, keep fighting, and y'all got this.
And
Definitely
just
have
a
faith
little
in you.
quick note, I am a formerly incarcerated individual, so I do get it. And so I'm going to fight for everyone. Although Clean Slate didn't fit me at the time, and I had to go through a different process to get my rights back, this is why I fight. So yeah, I do this every day and I work hard and kind of threaten the people too a little bit, but we get bored.
Let's not threaten too much, all right? Let's just keep
It's
it cute.
working, it's working, it's working, it's working.
Awesome, awesome. Do we have anyone else that wants to hop on the mic? Justin? Going once, going twice. Anyone can hop on. Remember, it's a testimony. All righty. Well, I guess we have no one else that wants to take the mic, which is very interesting because most people aren't too shy to speak up at our Clean Slate events. Uh-oh, I think we may have someone else that wants to join. Justin, I believe.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you clear.
Yeah, so here in New Mexico, we passed the Criminal Expungement Act in 2019, but the problem has been there was no implementation, so lawyers have exploited our people and charged us like $5,000 to expunge or per charge. So I'm really excited to hear y'all are coming out here and supporting our people. This has been a barrier to my work because I have been going back, or it's been difficult to go back into the jails and prisons to do work in those spaces, passing a background check. Finally got it done, but we shouldn't have to jump through hoops to continue to support our folks behind the walls.
Completely agree with you. And like you said, Eric shared earlier, we are making our way into New Mexico. So fingers crossed, we will be able to add it to our already established 13 states and DC. Thank you again, Justin.
Thank you.
Well, folks, this is the end of our call. This has been extremely amazing. Just hearing all the great stories, hearing all the good news that's coming out of both the Clean Slate organization, but also our advocates who are on the ground. One last thing that we would like to share is that we have an upcoming webinar for anyone who's looking to learn how Illinois mobilized tens of thousands of calls to push Clean Slate past the finish line last year. So join us on Thursday for a 90-minute virtual training session. And ultimately, y'all, this has been an amazing community call. It's great, again, to hear from everyone. And I'm looking forward to hearing from folks in between. Do not let us just have events and we hear from you. Reach out to us all throughout the year. We're here to serve you. We're also here to serve the community. And with that being said, I hope everyone have a great evening and stay safe and stay blessed.
You as well. Thank you, Clean Slate, for everything that you guys have done.
Thank you.
It does not go in vain.
Thank you.